Hey guys, Tempo here and welcome back to another video. Many of you have been asking on the stream and on the Discord for me to actually create this guide. I've been wanting to make it, but I've been a little bit busy with certain things. But now I have finally found some time to make the video. This will be a tailored video for those who wants to fully understand the basics and advanced stuff of Vigour. It's perfect for the new Vigour player and also for those who already play Vigour and wants to learn more on any sort of difficulty. What is Vigour Quick? Vigour is a healer in Fellowship. It's one of the two healers. And here you can see his whole kit, basically, all his spells on the screen here. There is the Radiant Blast, there is the Orb, there is the CD that you press, get more runes, and these runes you'll be playing around with a lot. When you press this, also the rune spenders that you spend are empowered, which basically means they are stronger. So if I would press this and get the buff and do the Orb, it will be 20% stronger. You also have the Circle Healing. This will be your main ability that you will cast when you are AoE healing. But first, before you do that, there is something called Rune of Renewal. And this one you need to press on the party or the target that you're healing if there's heavy damage incoming, in order to counter it with even more healing. This makes so that any direct healing that you do, which means direct, not a hot. So not a healing over time, but something that heals instantaneously. Like a Circle, Radiant Blast, Rune Orb, Greater Heal, or even another rune. So if I would do this, it would get amplified, because it's a direct heal. Now, there are different other things, such as weapon, and we'll get more into this later. You have a Dispel, you have the Levitate that gives you mini ulti, and this is because of this talent here, and we'll get into that more, which basically means that now things are instant, as you can see here, instacast, no CD, so you have a bit of tools to play around with. The ward, for an example, is your basically Iron Bark or external, so to say. It makes you take less damage. Here you also have the book, which you can use to stun. Here you have the chalice. It's one of the trinkets. You can choose which trinkets you want to play with. I think this is the best setup with this. So basically I think you should always play with chalice for now until extremely high eternal, when maybe we have 30-40% spirit, and you don't have to play with chalice anymore probably, or another build that is not as mana heavy. We'll see, but for now chalice is a must have. Then you will choose which other second trinket you will play with, either of those. That was basically the kit. And you also have things like, if damage is incoming and you can predict it, you would not heal it, you would just pre-barrier it with your luminous barrier. Certain things here cost runes, and certain things will build runes. If you put a rune up and you greater heal, you will generate runes, as you can see here. If you wouldn't have this rune, let's say I heal this mage here, it would not generate any runes. Only if you would basically heal yourself with the rune, or if you would put a rune on the person, now it will generate runes. Also, your Radiant Blast will generate runes, your Orb will generate runes, as you can see here. If you hit more allies, more players, it will generate more. It's about around 15 targets with allies and mobs as well, and you will get back your 2 runes. I would say it's even worth it to press it if you get half the runes worth back. If you get 1 rune from it back, it's probably worth to press it in AoE scenarios where you feel it's okay to press it. Let's say there's not massive damage incoming and you want to squeeze in that little bit more damage. You can press it. It did get buff in 2 patches ago, so it is worth to press for damage. even for a slight bit of healing, if you do not want to use your Circle of Light and you want to hold it for the next 5 seconds and then use it, you can squeeze in that little bit of orb healing and do some damage at the same time, get a little bit of runes back, and then massive damage coming, you would just use the circle there, thinking that your ulti is on cooldown and you don't have any mini ultis to play around with. The trinkets are just like, you just press them as you see fit, try to put your chalice on cooldown, play smart with it, don't go When it comes to your runic proliferation, this is one of your biggest cooldowns. So basically levitate, your spirit ability. Levitate gives you your spirit ability basically on a shorter duration. This, and this are your biggest cooldowns. You need to play smart around with it. When damage is incoming, try to be smart. Like, okay, there's AoE damage coming now. You press levitate, you have ramped up with the runes, you press levitate, you like boom, 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 heal with the levitate, right? If there is massive damage incoming and you know there is a gap between, like, let's say, usually AoEs are in between like 45 seconds or 50 seconds up to a minute in between them on certain bosses, or most bosses actually. So what you can do is, what I usually do, is that I pre-use rune proliferation. Right, and I have this buff here, I get runes, and I do runes on the whole group, right? When I've ruined the whole group, then this one will be up for the next AoE as well. So what you do here is that you do that, and then you would just press levitate, you would spam some renew, some Circle of Lights, boom, 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 boom. Damage is almost over, you finish off with a Radiant Blast, maybe an Orb, and damage is done. And you have healed the whole group, assuming that they're all stacked. Let's say they are not all stacked, there's one guy over here and the rest of the group here, it's fine. Just rune up the whole people. You see the guy, you spot the guy over there, he's not stacked, right? Don't try to like go to him and Circle of Light him or something like that. If he doesn't come, he doesn't come in pugs, right? Just shield him and spam yourselves. Spam this group of people that are stacked, spam, 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 spam. And then one more orb on, one more shield on him should be enough. You can even external him and shield him, and maybe he will realize to come into the group for AoE healing as well. That is a little bit about the spells. Now for the opener, when you enter a pack, this is extremely important that you play properly when entering the dungeon, entering the pack that you have in front of you, the pack of mobs. So you run here, the tank is in front of you preferably. You run, you would start off with shield on the tank, rune, and then you would have like 1 or 2 runes left, runic proliferation, dot, 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 tank is entering the, like getting hit by the mobs, ward him, external him, put the circle on him, if you have the cloak legendary, spam some dollar players. Depending on the situation now, if there is a dangerous pack in front of you that you know is going to damage the whole group, do not like keep dotting right now. Heal the tank with greater heal, like pre-heal him. Get up your runes a little bit. If the pack is dangerous and going to damage the group, then start off with runing the whole group, right? Let's say this is the group. You would rune, right? And then you would just like make it so that everyone is ruined, maybe even a shield somewhere. You would do the blasts, put down the circle, depending on if the tank is dying or not. You would heal him, refresh the rune, right? Maybe a shield on him. Then also, if you are super clean in the rotation in the opener and there is not too much damage happening, the very optimal thing you can do is that when you have dotted, after ruining the tank, after shielding the tank, placing down the circle, you can external him. You have dotted, as you can see here in this build. Now the dots are ticking down, right? All these dots are ticking down, right? You would open with a levitate and you would spam. As you can see here, you would spam Radiant Blast. As you can see here, all the dots here are getting refreshed. So you do not have to refresh these dots manually, right? The Radiant Blast does it for you, and that's because of this talent. It's very important if you want to play super clean that you do this opener, you do the blasts, depending on if the tank is dying or not, you heal the tank, depending on if it's a shield pack that doesn't turbo damage the group, You don't have to ruin the group that much, like Rune of Renewal. You can just satisfy with pumping the Radiant Blast, refreshing the dots, doing damage, maybe a dish out on orb, you know, big damn. Let's say now that this scenario occurs, you should just dish out the Radiant Blasts, right? Then maybe damage is incoming in 10 seconds. You have farmed up a lot of orbs, right? Then you would just take your time. You have maybe 5-10 seconds, whatever, right? It depends on the pack. Every pack is very like different from each other. You would then start rune all the players in the group. And then you just, like, you can use another levitate and just dish out some circle of healing, right? Circle of light. Also in the opener here, depending on which weapon you have, you can save your weapon a little bit. You can squeeze it for damage. It's up to you really what you want to do. This weapon, for example, is very good for tank healing. So if the tank is kind of dying, I would dot up the pack a bit. I would maybe dish out a rune on him, a barrier on him. Basically, the barrier is giving me time to dish out the circle, the other stuff. Maybe a Radiant Blast, do a Levitate, another Radiant Blast, and then you do, he's dropping a little bit, you do weapon. And he's back to full. And that's basically like the opener rotation that you should think about and try to finesse the different version of it. Let's say there's a massive damage incoming, that's a one-timer and it's going to explode and people are going to go from probably 100% HP to 0 HP, then you wouldn't start with runes on the group, you would just shield them instead, shield the whole group. After you have dished out 3 shields, you can do a Radiant Blast to refresh the shield, maybe even a Levitate. As you can see here, even the shield is getting refreshed, right? So if the damage is coming in like, maybe, let's say that you dish out the shields and it's coming in like 5 seconds, you would like just refresh the shields, make sure that everyone's shielded, maybe even a pyramid, and then boom, instead of everyone going to 0 HP, everyone is now going to like 70 HP. So, for the talents, we are playing this, one of the builds that I've cooked up. And this is basically good on mana. You will never go pretty much. Very rarely at least. You will have insane amount of AoE healing. You will have insanely strong defensive purposes, like a pre-shield now gives 10% damage reduction as well, which is extremely strong for many situations. It has saved us so many times when we've been playing keys. Alacritious healing is basically kind of mandatory for now. It is giving a lot of raw-like output, making your greater heal fast and also super high crit chance. The Bracing of Light is a freestyle point, but I really do like it. There are a lot of situations where you want to external the tank and you're also taking damage, or you're soaking and some other guy is soaking something and you know that there's high damage incoming in this situation as well on the whole group, then you two will take a lot of damage. That means this ward that you're putting on him also gets applied to you, which means boom, you now have the value of 40% DR on the group. Ascending Avatar is a must. Every time you place Levitate, you basically get a mini spirit and it's extremely strong. I would never ever take away this talent. Enduring Light, super strong for AoE healing. This can be freestyled, of course, or you can freestyle the Sacred Barrier into Master of Triage. Master of Triage is better for tank healing. Sacred Barrier is very niche, but it is also extremely strong for the group. It provides this extra safety net of having DR and a stronger shield, because essentially when you have 10% damage reduction, that means your shield is also getting 10% stronger. Radiant Soul also extremely strong. It's just raw power output, like damage and healing, and also being able to refresh those dots and runes and also shields. Extremely strong. Now, many people have been asking me about Grand Design. Now, I do not think you should play Grand Design for healing purposes when you have the cloak. You can play Grand Design if you have the neck or the boots legendary, which I do not have right now. But if you want to play Grand Design, then for sure the neck and the boots are the play. And I'll try to make a super good new cook around Grand Design and the boots, preferably, or the neck in the upcoming week, so stay tuned for that. If you would want to do more damage, then you can go for this build, basically, and it's going to be this into this. But you cannot take away Expansive Mind if you do not have the Chalice or if you do not have kind of high Spirit. I would say 15 plus Spirit plus Chalice, or else you would actually go a lot by not having Expansive Mind. Also, Expansive Mind will proc certain things like Willful Momentum from your weapon tree, which basically increases your main stat by, like, let's say 5%, right? If you fully max it out. So it's really good. There are a lot of like ways for certain procs to benefit from other procs. Like increasing your intellect, for an example, will make you scale other things insanely well. Because almost everything is from the main stat. Almost everything is from the intellect. And that is why I advertise to go for the diamond side or the green side. Preferably both. Now, when it comes to items, these are items you're going for. These are the stats you're going for. Basically, the stat priority is 15 to 20% spirit at least. And then you go for expertise, high expertise. And then it's good amount of haste, good amount of crit after that. When it comes to weapons choices, you do have the two weapons I'm recommending. Basically, I would always probably recommend the Fae, Nature's Fury. If you are playing anything from Contender up to probably Eternal, like 30 or something like that. Why I'm saying this is because Nature's Fury is extremely potent and it always will give you damage value and healing value. You press it. If you press it, you will always get the value. It will bounce, boom, 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 damage enemies, and boom, 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 lay on hands on the whole group, right? You will get the value. When it comes to the Suralets, the what I call Saki Saki, is, and first and foremost, this one scales of haste from its cast time. This one scales of haste a little bit differently. It will have a 3-second cast time, but the tick inside of it, as you can see there, if I had 0 haste right now, it would say 0.5 seconds, tick every 0.5 seconds for 3 seconds, right? But now, since I have some haste, it's saying 0.45 seconds for 3 seconds. If you would have like 40% haste, it would probably say 0.3 seconds every tick for 3 seconds, right? So it's scaling inside the ticks of the cast, but the cast is a fixed 3-second cast. And basically, this book I recommend if you're fully confident how to use it. It will eventually, like sometimes it will grief you a little bit by not exactly doing what you wanted to do, aka heal the group or heal a certain player. And why it works like that is because it will heal you, and then when you are max HP, it will heal the other people in the group divided equally, right? So now if you have a scenario where you press this and you drop, let's say you would get a hit now during this cast, right? You want to heal the tank, he's dying, and when you press this, you would get a bolt, right? And you would drop inside the cast to like 20% HP, let's say. This weapon would prioritize healing you first and then the other people, which could result in the tank dying and will probably do so in many situations. But there is a very smart fix to this, especially on Vigour. What you do in many situations is that you top yourself into a shield and then you use your weapon, right? By doing this, you will most certainly guarantee that this weapon will heal the other people in the group to full HP and not fail in your command, right? Because shield is a safety net, right? You shield and then you use your weapon. If you do this every time, there is a very small chance that this one will fail you in healing the group. Now, when it comes to the other weapons, the hot and the single target one, I didn't try them that much, but I think they are okay. The Twilight one can be maybe sleeper OP, but I didn't really try it. I might try it out later. And the hot one is like, I think it's a little bit lame because it doesn't have a damage feature into it. It's just pure healing and it's a pretty long cooldown, so I wouldn't really recommend it. The two weapons that I do recommend are Seralats or Nature's Fury. Both are extremely good. I would say Seralats is more advanced and there is a failure mechanic to it, like it can fail you if you're unlucky, but this one will always give you value and it's hard to go wrong with it. Now, when it comes to the legendaries, I do recommend the cloak in most cases. It is very hard to go wrong with it. It is extremely good for the tank also to provide 10% damage reduction on the ground when you place the circle. It's 10% perma DR on the ground, especially if you levitate or ulti and do this. It's just perma DR. And also, it will echo one more time, boom, you see, and give 50% more value after that. So that's really good. The neck, like I said, if you're going for neck, you're going a little bit more spirit, maybe even 30% spirit, I would say. You would probably reduce your crit by a significant amount and get more spirits, haste, and expertise. But this neck I wouldn't ever recommend if it wasn't for the new changes that came, and that is that we now have a, when like before, when we basically played before this patch, we would have all the buffs and everything in this line here, cluttering, and it was really hard to see like what buffs is what, and stuff like that, and super hard to min-max. But now we can move certain buffs into another place on the UI, and it's extremely much easier now to see certain buffs and certain things on the screen, right? So this neck has become significantly better now that we can move certain things from the buff bar, and will even get better later on when we can move a little bit more stuff away. And when it comes to the boots, and the boots is the one I will make the next build around, so stay tuned for that. With the legendary boots, basically, you're going to dish out a lot of those dawn flares, basically, and they're gonna be turbo fast. You're gonna have infinite rune gen, and you will be super free to like spend runes on whatever you want all the time. Basically, you can like dish out so many runes, so many spenders without having to think too much about it. Every time someone has a rune of renewal, every single dot that you have up, like the soul brands basically, are going to also heal 60% or 70% of the damage that this dot does, or is going to heal the rune itself, the target with the runes, right? So it's going to be very similar to atonement healing that disc priests have in World of Warcraft. So when it comes to gems, these are basically the gem prios that you will see here. So if you follow this, it's going to be pretty hard to like fully copy gems, because gems are random what drops. You can reroll gems in the vendor over there, and you will need certain materials such as these aethers, like this, or this, and you can reroll basically the gems with them if you're unlucky, and you will be. The gem farming is quite intense in this game. It requires quite some hours until you can find like the gems that you want. You will have to reroll a lot. So basically, diamond is S tier, green is S tier, and then I would say purple is A tier, yellow is A tier, and then this is like B tier and B tier. So like what you prio is green and diamond, and then if you would want purple, then I would say just 1, 2, or 3 purple. That's it. Focus then on green and diamond. There might be some niche builds that will play a little bit spirit, like having perma spirit, but you won't really have perma spirit, but having a lot of spirit uses is basically in the dungeon, but I do not think it's the play. So what to think about when it comes to the UI, basically, and here you can edit the HUD. You can drag this bar down and you can fix and mix whatever you want, however you like. So basically, when it comes to the UI, make sure that nothing is like blocking each other and so forth and so on. Make sure that the important stuff is visible, like target of target is extremely important in order to like pre-shield something, not only target of target. If you look at a mob, you can also see that this arrow is going to point at the person that the boss or mob will be casting on. So there are two indicators which will tell you where the certain like spell from the mob or the boss will go on, and it is this arrow here or the target of target function in the game, which we also have involved. Make sure that you have your buffs visible in a good fashion. Make sure that you have your, I would say and I would recommend to have your frames on this side and not too close to your character and not too far down. If your frames are too far down, it will mean that when you are dotting, for example here, if I'm dotting boom, 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 and then someone is dying rapidly, then my mouse will travel all the way here, down all the way to this spot here. And if I have my frames here, they would have to travel all the way there, right? So it's literally double the distance my mouse have to travel if you have your frames here or here, right? The pros and cons are as follows, and also if you have your frames here, it can block certain mechanics from your vision, but it very rarely does so. You can just turn your camera and you get used to it. Okay, that is it for this video. I would want it to be a little bit shorter, but I wanted to fit in most things. Also, you do have my 8-pointer build here for those that are in contender and reaching into adepts, basically. You have master of triage, this one, this one, this one, this one, and that's it. If you now get 9 points, 10 points, you can go into Enduring Light. And you also have the option to go Radiant Soul later on. If you want more damage, you go Epiphany. Epiphany is very strong for damage purposes, basically, and some free orbs. So guys, that is absolutely it for this video. I thank you so much for watching and been staying tuned. Go check out my Twitch, and I love you all for the support you have shown me these past weeks. And I will be delivering more content to you guys, more guides. The next one will be more advanced, more in-depth for those that want to tackle Eternal and onward, with some extra spice also into it. Take care and have a good one.